All right, Mekone turned 72. The war is in full swing here. We got magic phases back and forth, regular battles back and forth. Should be an exciting turn. Dire Portent, of course, Theridos, casting a mystery global enchantment, so we'll have to take a look at that later. And we have one of our mine hunts failing, of course. We're doing some scrying. This is on one of the forts, remote attack spell, and yeah, let's start taking a look at some of these battles. So this is our Archon, just dropping into that the fort that pretty sure not too much in it, and it's just province defense. Just take a quick look here. This is a little safer than normal because these Spirehorn Militia that are just part of the PD, they don't actually have Stormflyer, right? So normally this would actually be a little bit dangerous. I mean, this guy is a giant, but I mean, he, dude in robes. So, if he got swarmed by a bunch of birds before he could cast, this might not actually work out. But, because Perpetual Storm is up, we have time to summon in our air elementals, and yeah, I mean, air elementals are quite good. And then this is our Cyclopes, right? With full kitting, expensive kitting. And he's coming in to get rid of this, air elemental kill squad who have not been reloaded on gems. Yeah, it looks like they have not, although they did steal a bit of our Polemarch's gear. So yeah, we would like to remove that and a little bit of PD. So let's see what we're doing here. Yeah, so Fire Shield, Temper Flesh, and just going in. Fire Shield is going to help with the Phantasm spam. So usually when aircasters are out of range, they're just going to make Phantasms. He says, what, air 2? I'm not actually sure if you can cast Lightning Bolt inside a cave. Probably. Do we have a Lightning Helm? No, we do not. So we just need to work our way up the stream. When you're attacking, this can definitely be a problem with sufficient number of aircasters. Like you need to be able to kill the Phantasms quickly enough, otherwise the battle just times out and, you'll retreat. But there's not enough aircasters here. We are able to work our way through. Like I said, the Fire Shield helps a lot with that, also the Brand. And we're pretty safe against lightning. That's probably why they're not casting Lightning Bolt, because we have such high shock resistance. So yeah, that works out really well. I think we get, 2 of them? 2 of the area Seraphs, the last one retreats. That's definitely a good result, and will probably make him think twice about, dropping these kinds of groups onto our other more vulnerable units. And then we have a magic phase attack from him. I believe this is an Arouse Hunger. Yeah, so I wasn't actually very familiar with this spell, so now we're using it. So thank you to the Kalim player for that. But we have a little surprise here for him, a Draco Lion. I don't know if the Dragon Gas is going to help us that much, because ghouls don't really care too much about poison. We do have a decent amount of Wolf Tribe, so I think that's actually going to do more work for us. In fact, it looks like the Draco Lion isn't even bothering to use his breath attack, which makes sense. Oh, there he goes. I don't think it's going to be enough. Ghouls are pretty darn poison resistant. But yeah, that works out for us. I think it's actually mostly the Wolf Tribe that does the trick. The Arouse Hunger, I think it can work against 6 PD, but I think once you go up to 10 PD, it's pretty unlikely to work. And of course, he routes himself from his own lack of poison resistance. It's a hard life being a Draco Lion. So yeah, I don't think he actually did too much for us there. But we do keep the province. Definitely, this is, I think, 10 PD. So yeah, I think, if you're getting hit with Arouse Hunger, definitely consider bumping up your PD a bit. Although, obviously, that does leave you vulnerable to losing a bunch of gold. And then this is our Arouse Hunger against not 10 PD. And these are just Deer Tribe. So, Deer Tribe, not as good as Wolf Tribe. There's less PD, no Draco Lion. And I think this is going to work out for us. Yeah. It's pretty good. I think it was 8 Death Gems, I believe, to cast this. So it's expensive, definitely. But like I said, works out against low levels of PD. And then we hopped on top of his other fort, right? This is the fort that's closer to his capital. Again, no patrolling, minimal PD. Our Cyclops is overkill here. But yeah, we've locked down both forts, which is nice. Really messes with his movement, right? He needs to break the siege before he can get out, and so it's less likely that our army that's in motion is going to get messed with. Still possible. You can magic phase out of a fort under siege, and we don't have his capital under siege, so we'll see. But definitely this is a good result. And then we had a couple prophet proclamations, and then speaking of forts and patrolling, we are patrolling Hinnom, maybe with too much stuff. We have most of this is PD, right? This is, of course, our insane PD dump from much earlier in the game, and I mean, that is the advantage of PD dumps, is that they stick around as long as you protect them. This looks like just an area seraph with no gems, so not really sure what the plan was here. I guess just Thunderstrike. I think that was our Thunderstrike, because we have a fellow, who can do that. And I'm not really sure what the plan was here. I guess if I had really low levels of PD, this area seraph might be able to do it. Okay, he's doing Frozen Heart spam, which sure. Anyway, this doesn't work out for him. But that's a pretty light raid for a fort, especially a capital fort. But, I mean, if I wasn't patrolling and I had very low levels of PD, it could have worked out. And then we get to see the Phoenix Pyre Thug in action. So he's actually, we've talked about this guy, I'm pretty sure. He's got plenty of reinvigoration, good amount of shock resistance, and he's going to put Phoenix Pyre on himself. And then he's up against some birds, just spire horns. These guys are storm flyers, but I think if you put birds in lines, they don't fly. So, just weird Dominions thing. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's why these guys aren't flying and they're just walking forward. He seems to like these Blizzard Warriors who are cool. I think they're cap only. But I mean, the cold bow definitely is going to be useful against most normal units. Our Bone Tribe aren't going to love that. Although, with the perpetual storm conditions, this number of archers, right, it's kind of hard to mass these guys. And, their arrows are just going to go all over the place. So, I'm not really sure about using, these a lot of Blizzard Warriors when you're going to put up perpetual storm. But then he also has some Eagle Kings back here. No, just one Eagle King. One Eagle King, fairly heavy kitting, kind of defensive-y, seems to be, what he prefers. Good spread of gems, right? So that's cool. This guy's super dangerous, and he's got some of these summons as bodyguards. So I like that. And there's Phantasmal Army, which, generates a lot of chaff. Not very good chaff. Our guy is not great at clearing chaff, right? Because he's just as a flesh eater. The Spirit Helm is going to help him out a lot. He does not put Fire Shield on himself, but he's going to wrap these guys up, and then of course we are getting helped a bit by our PD, and eventually the Lightning Helm will burn through all these guys. Because really the plan is this guy's going to die, and then the fire explosion would, clear out the chaff. But he's not really getting threatened. Like I said, the Phantasmal Warriors aren't very good. He doesn't really have any cold resistance whatsoever. So those, the Ice Archers, who I think actually are set to keep distance, right? Fire and keep distance. So that's kind of cool, right? They get out of the way. They don't get into melee. That's kind of cool. Although I do think it hurts them a little bit, because normally in this sort of super combatant situation, I don't know, maybe there needs to be more of a surround, but a lot of times the archers will move forward to help with their precision, which they probably won't do when they're on, keep distance. And then, we have plenty of shock resistance, so we don't really care about that. We don't have any regeneration, but again, right, the plan is this guy's going to blow up, right? Where is Did he not put Phoenix Pyre on himself? He definitely does not have Phoenix Pyre on himself. So, I mean, the hero has this Dominion immortality. But apparently, I'm not sure if it got canceled, right? Interrupted. It wasn't the first couple. It wasn't the first 2 slots in a spell. So this is actually really dangerous. But it works out for us. For Phoenix Pyre Thugs, it is very important that you actually cast Phoenix Pyre. Probably should be the first spell. We'll have to take a look at that script and see what's going on there. But works out for us. We don't kill that much, right? We don't get the Eagle King, so this isn't that bad of a loss for Calum. The Blizzard, they're a little expensive, but he doesn't lose that much. We don't really lose anything though, so it's a victory, but not a huge win. Then we have a fairly substantial battle in Snowford. So this is where we're collapsing a bunch of our raiding groups together, our hidden Gigantes. We got a couple Lizard Shamans. And this is what was there. I don't know if we just caught it or, he chose not to move out. He definitely did PD dump a little bit, and it's, good choice for PD dump. Barbarians, good PD type. Looks like we lost one of the lizard shamans when the birds jumped in. These birds are flying, but the unbuffed birds against our Gigantes, that's going to be no problem. We missed with the magma eruption, of course. Conflagration, it's a good spell. Maybe a little slow in this case in terms of killing units, but yeah, our guys are going to do fine against the barbarians. We might take a few losses. We probably are magma eruptioning ourselves. Looks like there was some swarm from that indie witch doctor, I think, and then yeah, we pick up the area seraph. So another one that is kind of a mixed bag, right? We lose 5 Gigante hoplites, which is pretty rough. They're 40 gold a piece. Like, really, these guys are almost like, you can think of them as like limited mages. It's like every time you lose one of them, it's kind of like losing a really cheap mage. So yeah, using them in a raiding capacity is, and I've talked about how like the lizard shamans probably too expensive, and they're dying like flies. But we do pick up a decent number of Spirehorn warriors, and an area seraph, and like a good amount of like PD, right? So that's gold that he loses. So yeah, again, this is a win, but not like a decisive win. And then we actually hold off one of his groups. So I was kind of shocked about this, but this area seraph had no gems left. This is one of the ones that had already raided, and he was just trying to pick up another province. And I mean, 6 PD like did the trick. They were able to cut through the phantasms, and yeah, those guys are a lot less dangerous without gems. And in fact, Thunderstrike is a really good spell, but it doesn't have very good precision, right? So I mean, that's what he went for here, right? And under the storm conditions, right? So there's a Thunderstrike, and like even quite close here. See, like, yeah, misses with another Thunderstrike. So it doesn't have great precision to begin with, and then it gets lowered by storm. So Thunderstrike in like small numbers, especially against like small amounts of units, right? It's actually not great. If it's a large army and you have a lot of Thunderstrikes, like it's a powerful spell, but it has its drawbacks, and I think that's an example of where it didn't work out. And then our army moves forward unopposed into Silver Fangs. You lose a Peltas, that's always sad. You don't want your Doom stack shouldn't bleed units against almost nothing, ideally. And again, another reason that it'd be nice to screen this, but yeah, we've retreats. Not sure what happened there. That's not good. So yeah, anyway, screening is good, but we've talked about why that's not happening right now. And then in White Forest, our quest to find the minimum kitted Spectre continues. So this guy still has, a good amount of kitting, quite a bit of kitting, but less than my last playthrough, and he's up against just some PD, and so yeah, he's going to do just fine against this. Cleans it out, but always love to see these guys in action, and I think we can go lower. I think this is 15 gems worth of items. I think he can make do with even less. So in the future, there'll be another Spectre, and he will have even less kit, and hopefully he will take provinces. So yeah, that's nice. And that is definitely more than 6 PD. So, using like your heavier raiders to knock out, heavier amounts of province defense is definitely nice. And then, hopefully we'll open the way for like Peltast raiding groups, or, whatever your cheaper raiding groups are. And then our magic phase attack actually blocks a movement into Konberg here. So Kalem was trying to, get these guys back home, reload on gems, reinforce this fort, and, he bumps into our Elder Cyclops, who is going to struggle a bit. It's the normal thing, right? I don't think these guys have gems. Yeah, they don't have gems. So yeah, they're probably coming home to reload for gems. But there's enough casters here. They're going to generate just like a lot of garbage. And he does not put a fire shield up. I was pretty worried about him actually like surviving against what was patrolling on this, or what might have been patrolling on this fort. Fire shield is nice, but it doesn't really help with your survival. So I might have even had it scripted, but it's just it's not high in the script, right? It was lower priority. I'd rather get some of his defensive spells off first. But the good news here is we're defending, right? So if the battle times out, that works out for us. And spoiler, it does time out, so we're not going to watch that whole thing. But yeah, so I mean, we don't really kill anything, right? We kill a couple Spirehorns. I mean, we kill a lot of chaff that doesn't really count for anything. But yeah, so Caleb doesn't really lose anything here, but the fort remains locked down, and of course these guys don't get to reload on gems. Like, even though this battle doesn't really do anything in terms of taking pieces off the board, it's still a really annoying loss. It's an annoying thing to have happen. You lose time, right? That's basically what this battle bought us. So I'm okay with that because it didn't cost us anything. And then it wouldn't be a Mekone turn if you did not have a Peltast raiding group getting wiped out. So here's a Peltast raiding group, and yeah, let's see. I think these guys must have magic phased in or moved in, or there was some more gems. This is inside of our territory. I thought these guys were out of gems. They were not. Someone somewhere had, in this province, somebody had gems, and there's the air elemental, and yeah, we know how that goes. So goodbye, Peltast raiding group. But it's like, I don't know. I'm kind of okay with that, right? It's like, those are air elementals that aren't being used on our armies or are more valuable, thugs. So it's like, I can recruit more Peltas. So that's not a problem. So I'm going to say that one kind of worked out. And then Arcocephali's Doomstack marches forward. I think he's just, patrolling out a false prophet. Those are always really annoying. But we've seen that army. We don't need to see it again. And there was a battle. Russ is, still alive, still doing stuff. This is one of his Ether Lord thugs, which we've probably, he's a hero. He's got afflictions. We've surely seen this guy before. Just kidding. Also a good amount of shock resistance. He's up, against a decent amount of stuff, pretty normal stuff from what, Caleb has been doing. Is this one Eagle King? Yeah, just whoa. Baneblade on a Seraphine. That's interesting. So, she's kind of in an anti-thug sort of role, but I don't know, her skills just aren't good enough, I feel like, to warrant this. I don't know, maybe Caleb doesn't really have better chassis for doing something like that. I feel like at this point in the game, surely there's something he could summon in that would be better, but maybe just feels it's not worth the gems. A minimum amount of Spirehorn warriors who aren't really going to do much, but they will interrupt casting, right? So I think that's definitely a good idea. He just has a small group of Spirehorns to go in right away, to mess with the thug. So yeah, that's definitely cool. And then some ghouls. Does this guy have poison resistance? He does not. It doesn't actually have a ton of protection either. Good defense skill, which the ghouls will probably struggle with, although they will be able to harass it down. They don't actually have terrible attack skill. And then of course, air elementals, super dangerous. This guy's only size 3. So yeah, the air elemental's probably the most dangerous piece in this. And more Spirehorns walking. Always a little disconcerting to see the birds walking. Yeah, they are Stormflyers. Phantasmal Army, I don't know about Phantasmal Army. I feel like he has enough chaff here already. No advance and cast spells, it looks like. So yeah, just going to be, the typical Ghost Wolves, Phantasmal Warrior spam. Really not sure what this area Seraphine's doing. What has she been doing actually? So Blessing, Fire Shield, and then Discernment of Courage. I don't know. I guess this is defensive, right? So it's if the thug gets close to his Eagle King, she'll help kill it, but definitely feels like she ought to be set with that kidding. She would have a chance at killing this guy, other than the fact that with defense this high, again, the skills are a problem. So not really sure about that area Seraphine and her kidding. And only the one air elemental, which is really the only, dangerous component, to this force, unless the ghouls can get in and poison this guy. But he does have a ring regeneration. Poison, not so great against enemies that can regenerate, although, a good way to trigger a morale failure. This guy's morale not very high. Does he have? Yeah, he's got battle fright. He's been through it, right? He knows that this dangerous work here. So, but they don't have very good magic resistance. Yeah, wow, they have abysmal magic resistance, and their strength is not fantastic, so it's difficult for them to break out of the Vine Shield. So yeah, the Vine Shield is a really good item. If you're going to be sending thugs in solo and you expect a good amount of chaff. And yeah, I think this guy's pretty safe. I don't think. If there was going to be more air elementals, they would have already come out. Yeah, this guy's out of gems, and like I said, they're clearly not set to advance and cast spells, and they probably will be able to generate enough chaff to just time this battle out. So yeah, we don't need to watch the rest of this. Russ actually wins out. It's kind of interesting. I guess, normally the attacker routes first. So yeah, it is kind of interesting that you may have just hit an HP threshold. The birds, since they fly, they do route much more quickly than anybody that has to walk around on the ground. So probably the Ether Lord just got hung up, on like some phantasmal warriors or something like that don't have any morale. And then the birds were able to, fly away before the Ether Lord could actually get off the battlefield. So yeah, another situation where, Calum didn't really risk a whole lot, right? So they didn't lose too much. But, they do lose the province. This might have been a breakout. But regardless, it does hurt to get pushed back. And of course, all these forces scatter and you might lose guys in the retreat. So I feel like a lot of Calum's forces are kind of minimizing risk. And he's doing that really well. But I think with some more aggressive scripting, like the Eagle King on advance and cast spells, he might have been able to actually kill that Ether Lord. And actually, the Seraphine, that might have been random stuff that she grabbed off of, some other Rust thug that he killed, because it seems like a very odd choice. So probably just random gear that he picked up. And then, of course, the unexpected events. Demon Warship, 3-headed calves, gold, quite a bit of gold, 712, very nice, thank you, luck. And then we lose a little gold. This is probably from the turmoil. And then, of course, always with the Bane Venom charms, and, we got a scout, our patrolling, all that normal stuff. So, yeah, let's go take a look at what we're up to this turn. So, this is the situation, and I think the main thing this turn is, our army is moving on top of this fort. This is where we did the spell Scrying Pool, so we can actually see what's inside the fort, even though we have it under siege. And there's basically nothing in here, just an area seraph and, a few Spirehorn warriors. So unless he magic phases some stuff in, which is definitely possible, Calum doesn't get much astral, so Gateway is unlikely, but possible. It's always possible in the Pretender. I don't remember the Pretender's paths offhand. It is a rainbow, but Calum does get some astral summons, and it's definitely late enough in the game that he could have some built up. So it's not impossible that this will change, but we should get to see that. If he magic phases some in this turn, we'll still see that. The Scrying Pool is going to be up for 5 more turns, so it should be decided by then. I'm not expecting that, but it's possible. It would be pretty far. I don't think he can quite get there. We know that he had a large force right up in Russ, and a lot of it was corpse constructs, right? Which, if he doesn't magic phase them, have to walk real slow back. And we've left our scout here, right, hoping to catch that movement. Haven't seen the corpse constructs move out, so I'm assuming they're still in Russ. Obviously, the birds could have flown over our scouts, so it's possible that, he's moving, like, the bird portion of the army back, along with the casters. So, yeah, this is really the main army that I'm most worried about. Otherwise, it doesn't really seem like he has very many major forces. We'll take a look at what's on here, but I don't recall seeing any other really large armies, right? This is kind of his other large army that he has, maybe combined with what he's recruiting in the capital, which is not really enough stuff to take out our army. I think the only other major thing we have to worry about is if he jumps on it with a bunch of area seraphs, right? And the air elemental, where you just spend all your air gems and a bunch of air elementals and they just ruin whatever is there. That's definitely a concern for this army, but he can only do that so many times, right? That chews up a bunch of gems, and he has been using a decent amount of gems in his raiding efforts, so he may not have a giant bank of air gems to do that with. And then of course the other big thing that could happen is Wrathful Skies. So hopefully we're set up where we can deal with that, but it's kind of looking like we're going to take this fort more or less unopposed, which would be nice. That's the preference. And the nice thing too is it cuts off, he has this long finger of territory. It's actually already cut off, so he's not drawing income, from any of this stuff that's out here. We probably won't even chase down all these provinces because, I don't want this weird finger of territory. Other people can have it. Maybe grab this cave. The cave system actually, the caves connect to each other quite well, and they can be a little annoying to get into when you're outside of the caves. So this is maybe not such a weird finger of territory as it first looked like, because it's kind of just following the cave system. But yeah, we don't need to take any of that. Otherwise, we're kind of slowing down on our rating. Like I said, we don't really have Peltas groups moving up. Most of the Peltas groups that I'd set up before the war have already been destroyed. We are pushing in deep deeper with our ghouls. There doesn't really seem to be much here on this fort, and he doesn't really seem to put a lot of PD on his forts, so we'll give it a shot, right? I mean, the more forts that we can lock down, like I said, he doesn't actually seem to have a lot of, troops. So if we lock down forts, that's recruitment that he can't do, right? We can see he's probably doing some recruitment here, some spire horns coming in. So anyway, the more forts we can lock down, and, if we lose these ghouls, that's fine. But otherwise, not really doing too much raiding. Our Spectre is going into stealth mode. Anytime you're next to a fort, especially like a capital, that's pretty dangerous, right? This is a really obvious raid for us to do. So we're going to sneak, and, we don't want to get magic phased on either, right? So it's important that this guy, hide after he takes a province, because air elementals would squish him really effectively. We are bringing out, let's see, we're cloud trapezing, just one of our sorceresses, unkitted, so just air elemental raid coming on this province. This is where I think there were some area seraphs that had gems, that I wasn't expecting, but they are out of gems now, so unless he's sneaking more gems in, probably not. So we'll see. That's a little risky, but air elementals are quite powerful, so hopefully that'll work out. But that's kind of it for our raiding right now. We have run out of steam a little bit, and I want to take this fort, and once we take this fort, and we can start moving forward our other main army, then hopefully we'll start up some more raiding. But we have a little bit run out of steam, and then of course a lot of our cloud trapeze casters are actually already out. We are going to grab this cave, with one of our Cyclopses. And then the other big thing is they're moving out an extremely heavily kitted assassin, almost full kit. Probably should have just given him a shield just because this alone, he probably only needs the lifelong protection. This is probably way overkill. I did do some testing with this kit, and it seemed like this guy was able to kill pretty much any of the Kalian casters. I didn't test against any of his summons or anything like that, so I'm sure there's things that he dies to, but he's pretty safe from cold, right, because Frozen Heart is absolutely something that most of Kalim's mages can do, and then he's pretty safe against shock. Obviously they do quite a bit of shock, and then he's going to be summoning in a bunch of imps. And then, the Frostbrand is going to help deal some damage. The giant strength boots, probably not necessary, but it is nice, does help him get through, Iron Skin or anything like that. So yeah, this is probably too much kit, but I do think there's some value in having one of these guys, assuming you can get assassins, or just in general something that's really nasty, right? So in this case, once this guy goes out and starts assassinating, mages, anytime Kalim wants to do something, he has to think about okay, well, I might lose this Eagle King or whoever, right, to this assassin. So I think. And I mean, I don't know yet, because I haven't really done a lot of assassin play, or had to deal with a lot of assassin play myself yet. But I do think that something like this can be a little bit paralyzing for other players, and that he's going to have he's not going to kill that many commanders probably, because he's only one guy. But just his simple existence is going to possibly change how Kalim plays. So that's kind of the theory. Definitely, not planning on making another one of these guys. This is, like I said, a ton of kitting, and probably ultimately eventually we'll just end up, I think, where most experienced players end up, which is you just need the lifelong protection. So we'll see, overkitted assassin this game. But first he's going to deal with this Trog situation, because there's only one Trog commander, and if he can kill Eagle Kings, he can definitely kill Trogs. So yeah, we would like this province back. We get gems from it, and it's also a way for us to move through to attack Kalim. So yeah, he's moving out. We're also moving our goddess out, really just as counter-raiding protection. So yeah, this is again kind of a questionable use for her, and she doesn't have great magic resistance. That's kind of across the board with most of the super combatants that I've been using. Magic resistance 18, that's real scary. But Kalim, like I said, doesn't get a lot of astral, and he hasn't really shown any summons. I haven't seen any summons from our scouting, so currently we can get away with that. But definitely a consideration. I don't know, wasting pretender turns, just hoping to catch raiders is I don't know. I'm doing it. She's going to cast Howl, so she definitely struggles with all the chaff generation, right? So it's just incredibly slow and just doesn't kill fast enough and move fast enough. But, if you have wolves coming in from all directions, that usually does the trick. So, we'll see. Maybe she'll catch somebody. Maybe it's a waste of time. And yeah, I think that covers our movements and attacks. Recruitment-wise, bringing in, more Gigante hoplites. Kind of would like, a third army, ideally. Another Elder Cyclops, of course. And they're definitely really useful. Probably stick with them as long as we can afford it, like throughout this conflict, because the polemarchs just aren't going to be as useful in this conflict. And I think, the Cyclopses will help us out against any other in future wars as well. So yeah, we would like a third army, kind of to come around, maybe threaten this fort. We're pulling this force back. I didn't cover that, so we're bringing like everybody back, because yeah, like expecting that this might come out and try to attack us. Don't have a ton of confidence in what we have here, to be able to take this down. So, we're going to use our PD, and, we have our polemarch group here. So that'll hopefully be enough, to hold him off if he does attack. And then the other recruitment that we're doing, I think, yeah, just more Peltasts. So starting to try to bring more Peltast groups up, and yeah, a ton of Peltasts here. I think we kind of depopulated our patrollers a bit here. No, we still have some patrollers, definitely. So yeah, probably just looking for, this is a fairly forward position fort, so we can get those, Peltast raiding groups out pretty quickly. We definitely did pull some Peltasts off to throw into this army, for a little bit of bulk there, and then we're probably, yeah, continuing to recruit Archons. For the most part, yeah, another Archon. Archons are they're really good casters. Always, of course, Lizard Shamans. And then another Archon here. So, we're actually making some money right now. So we're finally getting to spend it to bring in, some really good casters. And then research-wise, going for Construction 7, mainly for Weapons of Sharpness. Wouldn't necessarily mind a few Golems. We do have quite a few Astral Pearls, I think. Yeah, we have a lot of Astral Pearls. So we could make Golems with our Spectre down here. And then, yeah, like I said, Weapons of Sharpness is going to be really nice. Definitely, like, Army of Gold, Army of Lead is possibly something that Calum can cast. They do have some Earth, but not very high Earth, so might actually be a bit tough for them. But it's Weapons of Sharpness, when you hit the late game, is a really useful spell to have. You never know when you're going to run into, really heavy protection stuff. Certainly, like the Wind Riders, right? They have pretty heavy protection. We know that Arcos of Volley casts mass protection on them, so even if we don't need it for this conflict with Calum, we're probably going to need it later. And yeah, that covers turn 72.